When we calculate the ridges, we understand that it is the neural speed. So how fast or slow a brain is depends on the ridges or the ridge count. Now for this, we need to look at the core, which is the centermost point of the pattern. And we need to look at the deltas, that is the point at the edges of the fingers which divert or diverge. So the point of divergence and the point of convergence. These two are very important in understanding a fingerprint pattern and understanding the ridge count. The first fingerprint pattern is the arch. An arch has an even flow of ridges running across the finger from left to right. Ridges have a pattern of consistent, straight, flat, vertical lines, and they run across the finger. The ridges are smoothly curved hills with no significant upthrust. Hence, these patterns have no delta and they do not have recurring ridges. Hence, the ridge count for this pattern arch is 0. They do not have a ridge count because they don't have a core nor a delta, and they just run across the finger from left to right. Second, we come to the tented arch. These patterns are similar to that of a simple arch, but they have a consistent peaked vertical line at the center. The peaked flow of ridges running across the finger from left to right is called a tented arch, and they appear to be like sharply curved hills with significant upthrust. Hence, these patterns can have one delta and can also have less recurving ridges. The ridge count that is normally seen in a tented arch is between 1 and 4. When the peaked flow of ridges slopes towards the little finger, then it's called the ulnar tented arch, and when the peaked flow of ridges slopes towards the radial bone, then it is called the radial tented arch. The next pattern is the ulnar loop. Here, the ridges on the finger is said to be a loop when the flow of ridges happens in a wave form. The flow of ridges enter from one side and exit in the same side, and this is said to be a recurve. The flow of the ridges can be either horizontally or vertically, but this pattern generally has one core and one delta. For the ulnar loops, the delta is seen towards the thumb side and the flow happens towards the ulnar bone. A loop pattern thus comprises of one delta and one core. So, we can conclude by saying that the waveform of a fingerprint pattern is an ulnar loop. Next, similar to that of the ulnar loop, we also have the radial loop, which has the same pattern that can be seen but only in the opposite direction. The radial loop also has ridges which flow in a waveform, and they enter and exit on the same side, but only thing is that it is in the opposite direction. The ridge pattern appears to flow towards the thumb, and we can see the delta towards the little finger. The ridges can either move horizontally or vertically, just like in an ulnar loop, and it comprises of one delta and one core. This waveform of a fingerprint pattern is said to be the radial loop. We also see the whirl peacock, which is similar to that of the ulnar and the radial loops, but inside at the core you can see a difference. The flow of the ridges enters from one side, exits on the same side. The only difference between the ulnar and radial loop and the whirl peacock is that though they have the same loop which recurves and comes back in the same direction, in the center we can notice a discerning factor or a discriminating factor. And here we can see either spirals in the middle of the loops, or you can see targets in the middle of the loop, or you can see double whirls in the middle of the loop. This can be again seen when you look at the spirals, the targets and the double loops in the forthcoming video. Generally, The discriminating factor of the Whorl peacock is that it has two deltas and one core, but one of the deltas will be very much less as compared to the other delta. The next fingerprint pattern is the double whorl or the double loop. This pattern has a typical quality of duality. We can see that the flow of the ridges can be either in the loop form, which enter and exit in the same direction, or it can be in the spiral form. Here the flow can be seen to be both clockwise and anti-clockwise, and the double loop or the double whorl has two cores and two deltas as the discriminating factor. And you see that both the flows meet at the center and then recurve back to its original side from which it emanated. And there appears to be a deadlock at the center and both go back in their own direction. So you can see that these patterns have both the qualities of an ulnar traits and radial traits. Hence, the ridges need to be calculated from the delta to the core on both the sides, and the maximum number of ridges is the discriminating factor. If there are more number of ridges towards the thumb side and the flow is towards the little side, it is called the ulnar double whorl. And if you see that the little finger has greater ridge count and the flow is towards the thumb, then we talk about having more of a radial traits. Next we have whorl spirals. These are typical patterns which go round and round and round itself. This pattern typically has one core and two deltas. These patterns are basically circular in nature, and it keeps expanding as it moves outward, or we can see that it decreases in size as it comes towards the center. The small circular pattern seen at the center is called the core. The flow of the ridges can be either clockwise or anti-clockwise. That means the flow can be either outwards or inwards. The whole pattern is seen to be held between the two deltas. Now, calculating the ridges have to be calculated from both the deltas to the core, and the greater ridge count is the discerning factor again. Again, whorl spirals can also have ulnar traits or radial traits depending on the strength of the ridge counts seen on both sides of the pattern. Whorl targets are again another typical pattern. They are round concentric circles and they are larger outside and decrease as they come to the center. These patterns seem to form a complete circle, and the smallest pattern will have at least one circle with a recurve. The whole pattern with concentric circles is held between two deltas. Again, here we have to calculate the distance between the deltas to the central core, and depending upon the ridge count, we can talk about it as being either the ulnar whorl target or the radial whorl target. Last but not the least is the accidental. Here there are n number of combinations that could exist because they are all accidental and there is no cause for the formation of them. But you see that, instead of having two deltas, there would be three deltas. Instead of having in places where there should be one core, there would be two or more cores. So you find that a combination of patterns of two or more of the above patterns together could be called a combination type of an accidental pattern. Or you can have a damaged pattern, which could be because of infections when the child was in the womb.